Well, hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today at Juanette's Crafting Corner for my Slow Stitch Saturday. So I'm continuing working on my still life project for Roxy Creations. And the next thing I need to do, you guys saw me create my washi tape drawers that will go here. And so what I need to do is iron this flexor pin off. This is where I had marked where the drawers would go. And this is able to be removed by an iron. So I'm just going to take it over to my ironing board and remove that. So the pin has been removed by ironing over it. And so now I need to place this here. And I know somebody in the comments had said I should move it down so that it doesn't look like it's just sitting on top of my desk. But that's exactly what it's doing on my desk. I'll insert a picture here. But I have a little raised area, and yeah, I don't know. It's definitely not going to be perfect, but I just don't know if I like it down like that because that isn't the way it is on my desk. So what I'm going to do to attach it before I sew it down is just take a little bit of Fabri-Tac glue and put a little bit on the back side of this, and then I will sew it down also. So yeah, this probably needs to be thinned out a little bit. It's quite thick right now. I hope everyone is doing well. I'm doing great. I'm finally, I think, getting over the asthma. I still have to do the breathing treatments though every 3 to 4 hours. But and I started another course of the steroids because it just seemed like it was lingering so much. So we have a little bit of Fabri-Tac there, and it's just going to go here on the edge, just like that. And then I'm just going to take needle and thread. I'm going to turn this around because I've got so much fabric down here that if I turn it around this way, it will be on the shorter end and I will be able to reach it better. So just adjust that like that. And then I'm going to just run some stitches through it to hold it in place a little bit better. Now, if you recall, this is going to be hung on a wall. So it's going to be suspended. So I need to make sure that it doesn't go falling down. And I'm going to do pretty big stitches in between each of the rows of the washi tape. And then the next thing we're going to do is put on the book, the journal I made. And my friend Pam had messaged me and asked me if I was selling that little fabric book. And unfortunately, because it was made specifically for this piece, I couldn't sell it to you, Pam. I'm sorry, honey. And plus, Pam, you do such beautiful work. You could whip one up so well on your own. And then the next step I need to do is my thread painting of Miss Fiona that's going to go underneath the desk. Now I know Rachel and Sarah have announced the next project, Volume 8, but I've decided not to participate in that because this is still taking some time up. The other thing I'm going to do is add some more things to the desk besides the book, because I tend to have a lot of fabric and sewing on my craft desk besides paper products. I'm going to add some more elements on there that is sewing related, you know, different fabrics and what have you. I'm still working on that. And I just feel like I don't want to start another project. I still have my daughter's vessel to work on. And you guys have heard me say I've got a trip coming up. I'm going to be going to Scotland, Denmark, and Norway. I will be gone for 3 weeks on a nice little vacation. And so I just don't want to get behind. So they are going to do like quilts or throws, you know, covers for beds. That is the prompt. But I feel like I need to finish my daughter's vessel. I want to make a fabric bowl for my sister. Her birthday is in July. And then I have another sister whose birthday is in August, and I'd like to make her a fabric bowl. So unfortunately, I'm gonna pass on the next one. So, and I want this one to be finished. I want it to be completely done and hung up. I'm just taking really, really big stitches here just to hold it down onto that fabric. I wish I could come up with another idea besides the acetate for the drawers. I don't know, the thought of putting plastic over this is just kind of rubbing me the wrong way. But I can't think of another way to do it. So I guess that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going in and out here, in between these rows of the washi tapes. My daughter is due to come over this afternoon. She teaches Sunday school, and I don't know, she needed to use my printer. Her printer doesn't work very good. So she wanted to print something out for the girls. She teaches young women, and she's going to come over this afternoon and use my printer. So I'm excited to be able to see her. And you guys have heard me talk about my son, Pascal. He's off work today. He's in his room watching TV. And I think our sweet little Miss Fiona's in there with him. So it's so cute. So on his days off, when he goes to bed, he leaves his bedroom door open so that when I get up in the morning, she can come in the bed with him. And when he's working, he closes his bedroom door because he doesn't want her to come in and disturb him so he can get a good night's sleep before work. So it was so cute. So as soon as I got up this morning, boy, she went tearing into his bedroom and laid down in bed with him. I think, like I said, I think that's where she is right now. Oh, oh, and gosh, I did a boo-boo yesterday with her. So, I mean, when I grew up with dogs, we always gave our dogs bones, like not chicken bones, but we would give them beef bones and pork chop bones and stuff like that. So the other day, I had made pork chops for Pascal and I, and they had really nice, good bones on them. And so I thought, oh, I'll give her this bone after I had eaten the meat off of it. So I gave her the bone, and she took it away. And then I was trying to find it later on, and I couldn't find it. So I thought, well, maybe she took it outside and buried it. Okay. Well, then last night we had, the leftover pork chops. And so I had another pork chop bone. And I thought, okay, I'll give her this one. She really enjoyed that other one. So I gave it to her, and she was down by our feet. Pascal and I always, when we have dinner together, we will watch a TV program, a sitcom or something like that. And she is not allowed on the couch while we're eating. When we're done eating, she can come up on the couch and sit in between us. But so she was gnawing away on her bone while we were watching TV. And then all of a sudden I noticed that she had stopped chewing, and I thought, oh, well, let's see where the bone is. I could not find the bone. And it was, it was a pretty good sized bone, like about like that. And I couldn't find the bone. And I thought, where is the bone? So I got down off the couch, and I'm looking underneath the couch and all over, and I could not find that bone. Well, she ate the entire bone. And I don't remember our dogs doing that. It seemed like they gnawed on the bone and then the bone was left, but she ate that entire bone. Well, then I said, oh gosh, I hope she's going to be okay. Well, then Pascal Googled it, and apparently you're not supposed to give dogs pork chop bones. And because they disintegrate, especially if they're cooked. So I said, well, what about steak bones? So he looked it up. He goes, well, they can eat it raw, but not cooked. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope she's going to be okay. So then last night when I went to bed, she always comes into the bed with me, but the minute I turn the light off, she's off the bed and she goes sleeps on the tile floor. I think it's because it's cooler. And so she had done that. And then about 3 o'clock in the morning or so, I hear her whining. And so I got up, and she was laying in the living room. And I thought, what's the matter, little girl? And I petted her, and, then she came and got in the bed with me. And she was playful. She was kind of jumping around on the bed wanting to play. I'm like, no, 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 honey. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm just double checking to make sure you're okay. But I wonder why she whined. Did she have a little stomach ache or something? It's like, oh my gosh. I would just feel horrible if something happened to my sweet little girl. Okay. Well, I did do a couple of rows. Is that going to hold it? I think I'm going to go along the edge here now a little bit and do like a whip stitch. Tack this down a little bit more. So yeah, so my sweet little girl. Oh, I know there's so many of you guys that have told me in your comments, told me about your sweet fur babies, whether it be your dogs or your cats, and they just bring you so much joy, don't they? Oh, and I have to tell you this, you guys. So I may have told you about the dermatology appointment. Well, I did get the results back of that little dry patch on my left ear. And sure enough, it's a little skin cancer. It's not a melanoma, but it's still a skin cancer that could turn into a melanoma, so it needs to be removed. And so I have an appointment set to have that done. But I was thinking, I was recalling that my little Fiona, she constantly wants to sniff that left ear. She doesn't want to lick it or anything like that, but she just is, when she's up close to me, she's over at that left ear sniffing it. And she does not do the right ear. I think she knew that there was a skin cancer there, or there was something going on. They are so sensitive and so smart, those little fur babies we have. Oh gosh. So I'm going to get that taken care of. And I was dumb when I was young. You're young and you want to look tan and, quote, healthy. And oh gosh, I spent many, many, many summers out in the sun without any sunscreen on. Just dumb. Let's see, how am I going to do this? I'm going to turn the camera off and I'm going to continue to whip around this and tack this down, and then I'll be back with you guys. Now that is nice and secure. It's not going anywhere. So the next thing I'm deciding is how to attach this. And I almost think if I add a fair amount of glue, no, I'm actually changing my mind. I think if I run and sew this, it may be quite fiddly to do, but I think I can run needles through those buttons back there, and sew that on. However, this is going to be one of the last things I do, just because it's going to be in the way a lot. So I'm going to set that to the side. Now, if you recall, you saw that I had finished the journal that is going to go on the table. And I'm really pleased with how it came out. I did add a couple of things. I think I showed you that I had put my initials on the front. I added some fabric here. This is something different. I did some slow stitching here where I created this pocket. I believe this is Kathy Holden fabric. And I did some thread painting over that, made it into a pocket. And that is where I'm going to write down all the prompts, the date, all the information on this piece. And then I added little dangles onto each. Let me just bring you in a little bit closer. So you guys can see a little bit better. So I just added some little dangles on each page. I think you saw everything else except for I did add some fabric back here too. And so I think it's going to just go like that. I want it to be like that on the desk. Bring it like that, so that as you're walking by, you're going to be able to see this part. So that, and then now I've got to decide how am I going to attach it. I don't think, like when I hold it up, I don't know if it's going to flap open. I didn't know whether I needed to put a closure there or not. But what I thought I might do is just glue it to the fabric. I think, I don't know how else to adhere that down. I think that the gluing it down is gonna work. Now, I told you that I was gonna add more elements to it. And because I'm always like sewing and having fabric, I have these fun little buttons. This is a spool of thread, and then a tape measure, a needle, and then a thimble. And I thought I might add them somewhere along with a bunch of fabric bunched up. So anyway, I think I'm going to do this stuff before this. This is going to be quite cumbersome. Oh, and then, okay, now I forgot I had done this. So I'm going to sew these down and then we'll do that. But I just love that. So I printed off, I took some pictures of my sweet little girl and I printed them off on fabric. Let's just pull them off here. I did do different sizes. And so I thought I would thread paint these. There's only going to be one. Let's see which one works the best. And then I'll trim it. Once I'm done thread painting everything, I will trim it down a little bit better. But let's see which one fits well. Oh, let's see. Turn it like this. Isn't she just a little doll? Oh, I just love that girl so much. There we go. Okay, and we'll just get rid of this. And like I said, once I get everything thread painted, I will, let's see if I get these scissors. Let's just try to make this a little bit smaller so I can kind of see which one I want to use. Which one will look the best. Okay. And I showed you before in a previous video, this is what I printed on. It is inkjet printing, cotton fabric. You get 30 sheets. It is linked in the description box. Remember, before I used to spray paint a piece of paper and then lay the fabric over the top and then run it through my printer, and that was a lot of work. This is much easier. Okay, let's pull this up. Let's see. Oh, that's kind of cute. Look at her. Let's just pull these out of the way. See, once I trim that down and I thread paint her in there, that may look cute. Let's see this other one. don't know which one. This one I did a little bit bigger. That one is too big, I think, for the desk. So that's going to be a no. This one, maybe. And then this one, are these the same? I should. Okay, this one's a little bit bigger. It's pretty much the same picture, but that might be easier to thread paint. Let's see. Which one? Oh, she's so cute. I'll decide on that, but let's get sewing these things down, and I'm going to pull some fabrics and see what fabrics I want to put down on this. Okay, I wanted to show you where I'm at. I added some text fabric here with a fabric letter and another letter here, some ledger fabric here. I also added a little bit of a dangle of fabric here using a bullion knot to attach it, like as if it was just kind of hanging off the desk. Like I said, this is where the journal is going to go. And my next thing will be to thread paint Fiona, and then what I will do is probably do some stitching around her and cut all this other stuff out around her, and then stitch some kind of a blanket down here so that she's laying on a blanket. So I still have quite a bit of work to do. I think there needs to be something down here, maybe something up here on top of the desk. I don't know. It's still a work in progress. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me today for my Slow Stitch Saturday, and I will see you on Tuesday for journal making. Thanks, and bye-bye.